watched this movie when I was 15, 16-year-old. I hated the hell out of it. I didn't get it. I didn't understand what was going on. I was like, what the fuck is this piece of shit? I was 15. So what do I know? I watched it about 5, 6, 7, 8 times probably after that. And each time, I got a little bit more out of it. Now, the violence, yeah, I get it. But let's face facts, guys. I mean, he's an American director. He's reflecting what America is like, probably one of the most violent countries in the world. And let's face it too, this movie is a movie of extremes. The whole movie is extremes. Everything is extreme. The violence is right in your face. That scene where John Travolta is buying his drugs and the amount of money that he brings out of his wallet or out of his pocket is massive. Did you not see that? That's ridiculous. Who needs that? They said fuck 265 times in this movie. Did they really need to do that? No, I think it's a movie of extremes. That's essentially what he's trying to reflect, is the fact that this is American society. But that's not really where my presentation is going. My presentation is more on how he shaped it, the scenes that he did, how he structured it, all that kind of stuff. So I'm not going to get into philosophical ideas of what's happening here. He did use 2 kinds of ideas here. He used what is called a pastiche, which is borrowing a style, some would say stealing, borrowing a style from other films and using it in his. He used Mean Streets by Martin Scorsese and The Killing by Stanley Kubrick to make this one as a pastiche. Also in this movie there's a ton of homages in this movie. And I'm going to go through a couple of the homages. An homage is just stealing or borrowing a scene from a movie and changing it up to make it his own, essentially. And he did that throughout the entire movie. It's unbelievable how many there are. I was joking with Cash about this before. I said this presentation has to be about 20 to 30 minutes. I can make a 5-hour presentation on this movie. There's so much stuff happening in it, right? I'm not going to do that because I want to go home and sleep eventually, right? I'm sure you do too. Dave Anson from Newsweek said, "The miracle of Quentin Tarantino's Pulp Fiction is how, being composed of secondhand de-paced parts, it succeeds in gleaming like something new." And he did. He changed it. And I think my presentation is going to go on the idea of, I believe he's borrowing. I believe he's borrowing, and I believe he's expressing his love for movies with this movie. Just like musicians do, DJs do, artists do. They borrow, they change it. Why? Because they're paying homage to the people that have done it before. They want to express, this is what it is, this is what I like. You can tell how much he likes films by just the dancing scene. That dancing scene is phenomenal. And it's so misplaced in the movie. So much violence, so much blood, so much drugs, and all of a sudden these 2 people just dance in the middle of a 50s diner, and he loved it. You could see he loved it. Okay, so we're going to go to the structure first. This is how the movie is laid out. You can see it. They actually do it for you. So the prologue, which is the diner. Prelude to Vincent Vega and Marcellus Wallace's wife, which is when they kill the guy with the case. Vincent Vega and Marcellus Wallace's wife, where they dance and she ODs. Prelude to the Gold Watch. A is the flashback, which is the little kid and Christopher Walken talking about the watch. And then the present, which is when Butch wakes up. Then the Gold Watch, where his girlfriend forgot the watch. And then the Bonnie situation, where they shoot Marvin in the head. And then the epilogue of the diner, which is the end. So that's how it's set up in the movie. But this is the chronological order of the movie. If you were to take all the scenes out and put them in the chronological order, this is what it would be. The first scene would be the Gold Watch, obviously, the flashback with Butch. Okay. And then it would be the prelude to Vincent Vega and Marcellus' wife, where they go in and they try to get the case back. Then the Bonnie situation, where they're driving with Marvin in the car and they got to clean it up. Then the prologue to the diner, okay, which is the beginning of the movie. Then the epilogue of the diner, which is the end of the movie. Then Vincent Vegas and Marcellus Wallace's wife with the dancing. Prelude to the Gold Watch, which is the present, and then the Gold Watch. This is one of the major reasons why it's called one of the best post-modern movies ever, because of the way he organized the structure and how it all fits together like a nice little puzzle piece. So this is Honey Bunny. Honey Bunny was named after a rabbit that he was supposed to take care of. The writer, the typist, he crashed on her couch for a little bit while she typed it out. It took about 5-6 days to type the whole thing out. She said she would do it for free under the condition that he'd take care of her rabbit. He said no, rabbit died, he put her in the movie. Okay, so that's where Honey Bunny comes. That's the first homage, okay, to the rabbit. The speech at the beginning of the song, this movie is the speech at the beginning of the soundtrack. And then it goes into the song Miserlou by Dick Dale and the His Deltones. Somebody asked about the music. It fits. I mean, he loved music. You could tell he likes music by just the styles that he uses and all that kind of thing. As his movies get a little bit like the movies now, I think he uses more of his own score. But at the beginning, all soundtrack. Maybe because of money, but also I think he just dug music. So the next scene is the prelude to Vincent Vega and Marcellus Wallace's wife. Okay, so this is before they go to get the case and all that kind of stuff. So Jules, Samuel L. Jackson character, he was supposed to have a giant afro wig in the movie. But the person who is the costume person accidentally got what is called a jerry curl, which is the hairstyle that he had. And Quentin Tarantino and both Samuel L. Jackson said this is fantastic. And to be honest, I think it works better. If you have a big afro, it has that symbol of black power in the States. You got a jerry curl, you can't help but laugh at a guy like that. Except when he's got a gun in your face. So this scene, for example, this comes from, they say that this is comparing it to the movie Kiss Me Deadly, which is a 1955 movie. So if you see this, you can't see the case in this picture here, but she's also got a case, okay? And what it was a glowing briefcase which was housing an atomic explosion, but the same kind of expression, same kind of face, everything there is similar. This has also been connected. We don't know what's in the case. Nobody knows what's in the case. What's actually in the case is like a 40-watt light bulb. That's it. But nobody actually knows in the TV show or in the movie what's in the case. But they have likened it to Raiders of the Lost Ark, when they open the Ark and they can see inside of it, but they don't really know what's actually there. And they say that it could be just violence itself, which, I don't know. I think it's just interesting we don't know what's in the case, to be honest. There was a notion when I was younger that was going around on the internet when it was brand new, that inside the case was Marcellus Wallace's soul. I think that's ridiculous and stupid, but you know, you can think what you want. It's all good. That's the whole point of the case, right? Is that nobody knows what it is. You can think what it is you want to. In this thing too, I think I noticed a pattern in this scene as well. When Samuel L. Jackson is giving the speech, for example, in the movie, the characters, some of the characters change dramatically, like snapping a finger. So Jules obviously was playing a part. He was very nice and sweet and kind and stealing the hamburger, and then all of a sudden he shot that guy in the couch and you knew this shit was going to go down. And then he gave the speech, and then when he gave the speech he turned around and you knew that all hell was going to break loose and that guy was going to die. This happened a couple other times with, for example, Mia Wallace, when she comes back from the diner and she has the trophy and she's got the jacket and she's dancing around. Uma Thurman's 23 in this movie. She's a baby. She's dancing around, just having a good time, and then all of a sudden she takes a drug and boom, she's gone, right? She ODs. Switch, it's crazy. Butch, he goes from the loving partner with his girlfriend or wife or whoever she is, to a rage maniac throwing the TV across the room. That's what makes this movie interesting sometimes, that you have no idea where it's going to go. All of a sudden they're one way, the next minute they're a complete other way. So moving on to this scene, which is Vincent Vega and Marcellus Wallace's wife. As I mentioned, the dance scene was pretty phenomenal, just because it's just in the middle of this crazy, violent, swearing, drug-riddled movie, but it fit quite well. It's interesting, the diner is 50s, but the music would be mainly around the 60s, but the way John Travolta dances in the 70s. So essentially it's just the past. It's all the past in one. The dance that they performed here, they're comparing it to this movie, which is called 8½, Gloria Moran and Mario Mazzabota's dance. Okay, it looks pretty similar. And Cash and I are actually talking about this. So this is another homage that he makes, but he makes another homage as well in a dance scene where, if you notice the way that John Travolta dances at the beginning, he's really tight, and he's down, and he's twisting like this. They're both twisting, but he's twisting tight like this, and Mia Wallace is twisting like this. Has anybody ever seen the movie Aristocats by Disney, 1970s? It's the same dance move. He just took it from them. So he takes it from anywhere. It doesn't matter if it's American cinema or not. He'll take it for Disney and throw it in there. Why? Because the dude loves film. That's all there is to it. He really enjoys it. So this dance scene too. So John Travolta, everybody thought that he wrote this scene for John Travolta to get him dancing again. But actually the scene was first, and they were just lucky that they got John Travolta. And John Travolta actually, when he was 8 years old, won a twist contest. And he talked to Quentin Tarantino about this. And he said, okay, so are we just going to twist? Because we could do other moves. And he gave him other moves like the Batman, the hitchhiker, the swim, and the twist, and he taught Uma Thurman how to do all these dances. And what he said was, he wanted Quentin Tarantino to just yell a name of a dance, and then they would start doing whatever move he would yell. So off to the side during this whole scene, Quentin Tarantino is there. He's actually dancing as well. You can see it behind the scenes of it. But he's yelling at them which dance he wants them to do. That's why they change it up. If you haven't noticed in this scene too, in the movie as well, John Travolta goes to the washroom a lot. And every time he goes to the washroom, something bad happens. Does anybody know why he goes to the washroom a lot? He's a heroin addict. Heroin makes you constipated. He really wants to go, but he can't. But every time he leaves the washroom, something happens. The diner gets robbed. He comes out. In this scene, he comes out. He finds Mia Wallace ODing on the floor. In the next scene, he gets shot, obviously. Okay. Which is quite interesting. Which is why a lot of the times people thought, for example, when I was younger, people thought that Quentin Tarantino wrote this movie when he was 16. There's a lot of toilet humor. There's the rape scene, all this kind of stuff. I don't think he did because it's quite heavy, but it did go around. The convertible that was driven in this scene, that was actually Quentin Tarantino's convertible, and it was stolen. And they found it recently. they just found it. They're like, this is the car from Pulp Fiction. It's crazy. But it was stolen off the set. In this actually, like, when I say scene, this whole part, there's a whole bunch of stuff that's happening in this section, right? When Mia Wallace is stabbed in the heart with the adrenaline pen, what happened was, in the actual filming, John Travolta had the pen inside of her, and he pulled it out. So they filmed it like he was pulling it out, but they played it the other way, which is another homage to Charlie Chaplin. Charlie Chaplin made a movie called Behind the Scene. It was a short film in 1916 where Charlie Chaplin is walking, and when he's walking, an axe falls right in front of him and hits his toe. But the way that they, like right in front of his toe, how they did it was they filmed it backwards, and the axe went up, and then they just rolled the tape the other way. Quentin Tarantino did the same thing. Again, he knows so much about movies. He just wants to express like all these things that have happened in movies in the past to show everybody. The next one is the gold watch. So the flashback. This is Christopher Walken. This is the last scene that is shot in the movie. It was the last day on November 30th, 1993. So he has a 4-minute monologue here. As Captain Coons, he's talking about the watch. The speech Wallace said, is 8 pages. And while he was doing it, he would laugh every time. because he would get to the part where they have to shove the watch up his ass and he couldn't control himself. He had to laugh. But the kid who was in the scene, it was only him, it was the kid and the kid's mom. That's it on the set. Everybody else was gone. And the kid was so tired because the scene was so long that they were going to go back and forth with the kid, but they couldn't because the kid was falling asleep. So they just stuck to Christopher Walken and have him talking to the camera the whole time. That's why he's talking to the camera. He said that Christopher Walken said he got really dry, of course, because the speech is quite long. So he stole a theater trick that he used when he was younger, where he takes Tabasco or lemon juice in order to keep the saliva flowing in his mouth so that he can talk for a long time. So this shot here, this is where, this is an interesting scene too. So the gold watch. So Butch's watch is left by his wife or girlfriend, and he has to go back and get it. He goes to his apartment, and he finds the watch, and then he puts the Pop-Tarts into the toaster, and he finds the massive machine gun on the table, and so he picks it up and shoots John Travolta. Well, that machine gun is actually Marcellus Wallace's machine gun. Marcellus Wallace and John Travolta, they are together. Vincent Vega, they're together because by this time in the movie, Jules has retired. So Jules is gone. So Marcellus Wallace is backing him up. So Marcellus Wallace goes to get donuts and a coffee and leaves his gun on the counter. And Bruce Willis uses the gun to shoot Vincent Vega, John Travolta. And then we get to this scene where he thinks he got away, and he drives his girlfriend's Honda, and then he sees Marcellus Wallace in the middle of the street, which is a direct kind of homage from Psycho, where at the beginning of the movie, Janet Leigh is driving after she had stolen some money from her company, and while she's driving, she runs into her boss, who is walking across in front of her. Again, homage, I believe. Right? He's taking something that he likes and showing everybody, and these are just the little things that he's doing. When Bruce Willis, this is one of my favorite parts. When Bruce Willis leaves after he escapes and punches the gimp in the face, he gets the keys, says Zed, and then he proceeds to leave, but he hears what's happening to Marcellus Wallace, so I guess something comes over him and he comes back. But at first he gets a hammer. That's nothing really. But then he gets a baseball bat. And this one is an homage to, actually the hammer is something, sorry. The hammer is taken from a movie called The Toolbox Murders from 1978, where somebody went around and murdered somebody with a hammer. And then the baseball bat he picks up from a movie, Walking Tall, which was remade with The Rock. And The Untouchables, which was with Robert De Niro as Al Capone. And he beats a person to death with a baseball bat. Then he grabs a chainsaw. I noticed that when he did grab the chainsaw, most of you laughed because it's ridiculous. Who's going to kill you with a chainsaw? And seriously, let's think about this for a second here too. If you're a serial killer, the best weapon you have is a chainsaw? That's ridiculous. First of all, who's tried to start a chainsaw? Anybody? It's not easy. You got to do it 3 or 4 times. And seriously, your victim's over there. If you're walking trying to start the chainsaw, isn't your victim going to hear it? You just be like, yep, there he is. There's a killer. I'm just going to go this way because I can hear the chainsaw over there. This is from Chainsaw Texas Massacre, obviously. It's ridiculous. Who uses that as a weapon? Then he finds the katana, which is the Japanese blade, which is an homage from Seven Samurai, the Yakuza, and another movie called Shogun Assassin. So in this very short scene, which is less than a minute, he has paid homage to at least like 7 or 8 movies. And who would know that except for him, really? Right? If you look at it, it makes sense. The next one is the Bonnie situation. Actually, yeah, so the Bonnie situation, this is, sorry, don't look at the slide yet. Avert your eyes from the slide. The Bonnie situation is where he shoots Marvin in the face. And to be honest, I heard some laughs when Marvin was shot in the face. You know why? Because it's funny. That's why. And the reason why it's funny is because at the beginning of the movie, John Travolta, when they were having that conversation about Royale with cheese, the way he said it is so utterly ridiculous. How can you take this man seriously? He's a hitman, but he says Royale with cheese. Who says that? Come on. Plus, John Travolta chose that haircut. They chose that wig because he knew it would be ridiculous. After that scene with Royale with cheese, Quentin Tarantino came up to him and said, look, I had no idea I was making a comedy. What did you do? He was like, it's not funny to shoot somebody in the face, but now it is. And he was like, oh, okay, yeah, okay, I get it. And it is. It's funny when he shoots Marvin in the face. I don't. I'm not going to say, I'm not crazy. It's funny, right? A little bit. Harvey Keitel is in this scene. Harvey Keitel was the first big name to be in the movie. The second one was Bruce Willis, and Bruce Willis actually wanted to be Vincent Vega, but thankfully that didn't work out. Instead, he became Butch. And this scene, the last scene of the movie, is the diner. So in this scene, what I want to bring up is the speech that he gives, which is the Ezekiel speech, 25:17. He gives it a couple times in the movie. Okay, one of them overlap essentially. And this speech, part of it is from the Bible, which is the last two lines, but the rest of it is made up by Quentin Tarantino and Samuel L. Jackson. But Quentin Tarantino borrowed this as well from a Sonny Chiba movie, and it's called The Bodyguard from 1976. And I'll just read you the speech that is from the Sonny Chiba movie, and you can see the actual similarities to the one that was in the movie. So in the Sonny Chiba it goes, the path of the righteous man and defender is beset on all sides by the inequity of the selfish and the tyranny of evil men. Blessed is he who in the name of charity and goodwill shepherds the weak through the valley of darkness, for he is truly his brother's keeper, and the father of lost children. And I will execute great vengeance upon them with furious anger, who poison and destroy my brothers. And they shall know that I am Chiba, the bodyguard, when I shall lay my vengeance upon them. So it's almost word for word from that movie. Sonny Chiba was, he's an actor that actually Quentin Tarantino used in Kill Bill. He was the one who made the samurai sword for Uma Thurman. Okay? So he pays homage to him because he liked his movies when he was younger. And then when he's making a movie later on in his life, he says, you know what, this person would be great for this character, so I want to see if I can work with them. He worked with Uma Thurman also in Kill Bill as well. He said that she was the only one he wanted. And actually, this movie is connected to Kill Bill with Fox Force 5, which is the pilot that she did for television. And he wanted to make that movie, but instead he changed the characters a little bit, and they became the gang in the Kill Bill movie. So he connects them all together. Just a little bit more? Okay.
Can you go for like 2 minutes?
Okay. So a theme throughout the movie is the guns and close-range guns. So miraculously, Jules and Vincent Vega were not killed. Vincent accidentally shoots Marvin in the face, and Vincent is killed with a gun, short range. And Jules' gun, which is interesting at the end, prevents all of the violence at the end there. So what does this movie actually mean? Well, according to Tarantino, the people who are worth saving get saved at the end. And he says, the two robbers, Pumpkin and Honey Bun, they get saved, they get another chance, that's their redemption. Uma Thurman has a chance to die, but she lives, that's her redemption. Butch gets another chance. He could very well have been murdered by Marcellus Wallace or John Travolta, but he didn't, and that's his redemption. Marcellus Wallace even gets another chance. He could have been killed by the hillbillies, but in fact he lives, and he gets redeemed. And of course, Samuel L. Jackson is redeemed at the end, and he retires from murdering. That's it.
All right, thank you. Okay, I want to know if you can